All right, so let's get this workshop started. Once again, I'd like to welcome everyone to the Market Discovery Workshop on Turkey today. It's great to have you here. Some of you might have already joined previous workshops, so it's great to see you again. And I hope you can get a lot of value out of this session as well. And if we have a couple of new faces on this call, you're very welcome as well. And I hope it's very interesting for you. We have an amazing lineup of speakers here today, 18 in total. And they are going to share their industry insights on the market of Turkey with you. To get started, I quickly want to remind you that this session is going to be recorded and uploaded in the Seeds of Bravery website later on. For interactions and questions, we would like to ask you to please use the Q&A chat function, and we will read out your questions later on after the presentations, and they will be answered by the experts. But this is the way to interact with you and to address these questions directly to our industry speakers. My name is Maya. I'm hosting this workshop today in the name of Plug and Play Tech Center. And I want to give you a quick introduction to our agenda. So we're at the welcoming words right now. My colleague Carolina will take over introducing the Seeds of Bravery project very quickly to you. We will then start with the very first section of a general introduction to the country and the startup ecosystem of Turkey. The second section is going to be about key industry sectors and market opportunities. We have a couple of very exciting speakers here as well. We are then switching to the university and research perspective with, again, two very exciting speakers before we dive into legal aspects. And then last but not least, we will close this session with a very high-level panel discussion on the investment landscape and a final presentation. So much to our agenda for today. And with that, I would like to hand over to Carolina for the first part and a quick introduction to the project.
Thank you so much, Maya, and thanks everyone for being here today. I think this is going to be a really interesting session for all of our Ukrainian startups to watch and even to maybe consider what it's like to do business in Turkey and maybe even find some business opportunities for them there as well. So I will just quickly take a few minutes to describe the Seeds of Bravery project. You could already move on to the next slide, please, Maya. A little bit showing also the context of what we are doing here today. We might have some also new faces in, especially on the speaker side, that could learn a bit more about our project, and also our attendees here in the room. So in total, Seeds of Bravery is a 20 million euro project funded by the European Innovation Council. So it's an EU-funded project, and the entire mission of this project is to support deep tech ventures and essentially deep tech startups in Ukraine by connecting them to ecosystems, innovation ecosystems, startup ecosystems in the rest of the world. So we are supporting our Ukrainian startups, our Ukrainian founders and their teams in this time of conflict. And we are really here to create bridges and to create integrations between our Ukrainian colleagues, many of them still in Ukraine, many of them also moving into other, let's say, business ecosystems outside of Ukraine to further grow their ventures, and to really create these integrations between these startups and scale-ups and the, let's say, established global innovation ecosystems. What this 20 million euro project looks like, I'll get to in a second, but first it's executed by a huge consortium of 17 partners. So you can see all of the logos here on the slide. We are a really diverse, let's say, pan-European and Ukrainian team, leveraging all of our local ecosystems. So you can see participants from Finland, from France, from Germany, Netherlands, Poland, Luxembourg, and Ukraine, of course. Also want to shout out to Stockholm, because I know the team was also here in this room. And we are all organizing various different programs, various different workshops and initiatives, both financial support and non-financial support, that is directly contributing to the growth and to the resilience of these Ukrainian ventures. If you go to the next slide, please, you see how this 20 million project gets allocated into the financial and non-financial supports. So a portion of this 20 million, specifically 12 million euros, is reserved directly for grants to the startups. This is the financial support that we give to each startup, that we the startups apply for. And based on specific programs that they are participating, they receive this grant. It's really important financial support that is really creating the difference in the lives of these Ukrainian startups. And these grants are also distributed via different programs. So we have a total of 5 main programs, each of them consisting of their own program journey, acceleration journey. And the startups can apply for multiple programs. So they can receive up to 60,000 euros total per startup participating in the Seeds of Bravery project. On the next slide, you will see also the non-financial support services that we are executing as a project. So next to the grants, we also believe that there's a lot to do in fostering these integrations and these support mechanisms for Ukrainian startups. Europe is a very well-established ecosystem of public funding and accelerator programs, and not even to speak about the rest of the world. So other initiatives that we have here are also more focused on, again, building these bridges between the Ukrainian and the non-Ukrainian ecosystems, fostering exposure for these startups through demo days, through these market discovery workshops that we are here today to participate in, supporting also female entrepreneurs and female founders in their startup journeys, and as always, really focusing on exploring business opportunities for these startups. So what we are here doing today is focusing on Turkey, which is a really exciting ecosystem that probably, or we would like to educate our Ukrainian startups on. So thanks a lot also for all of the speakers that are here today, contributing their time to showcase this to our wonderful audience. I think that was my last slide. So I'll leave you all to a great, fruitful market discovery session. And thanks a lot, Maya, for the organization. And I'll wish you all a great rest of the day.
Cool.
Thank you very much for this very interesting summary, Carolina. Awesome. Then let's get started with getting to know Turkey and its startup ecosystem. And for that, I would like to welcome on stage here our first speaker, Ahmet, Diler, who is project director at Invest in Turkey. And he will start with an overview on Turkey as a market, what it has to offer, and how startup-friendly Turkey actually is. Ahmet, over to you.
Thank you, Maya. I will share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, it works. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. So, dear colleagues and friends, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you on behalf of Investment Office. This is Ahmet Diler from the Investment Office. Today, I would like to show you a brief presentation about to give you a clear idea about the startup ecosystem in Turkey and the opportunities in Turkey. I would like to start with a brief introduction of the Investment Office. Investment Office is the official and national organization for promoting Turkey's investment opportunities to the global business community. Investment Office provides assistance to investors before, during, and after their investments or entry into Turkey. So we are basically helping companies to have a presence in Turkey by establishing their legal entities in Turkey or having their production facilities or innovation centers in Turkey. So in today's presentation, I will start with some statistics about the Turkish startup ecosystem, and then I will briefly mention about the growth drivers in Turkey, and finally I will be giving some information about the recent developments in Turkey. So I will start with the early stage investments in Turkey. Prior to 2010, the startup ecosystem in Turkey had little to speak about, but since then the ecosystem has swelled in size and importance and quickly become a regional hub. 2010s were learning period for the ecosystem, and after 2020, the ecosystem is in a globalization era for both Turkish VCs and the startups in the last. And when we can see that the investment amounts from the page, so you can see how this globalization era is developing for Turkey. In the last 3 years, startups raised 3 billion investments, and 5 times more than the previous 8 years. Before 2010, we didn't have any unicorns. In the last 4 years, we see that 7 unicorns in various verticals, and we expect more to come in the upcoming years. Even before then, there were some measure-backed, VC-backed exits from Turkey. So the always strategic investors were looking for Turkish ecosystem. They have partnered with the local startups in Turkey. And just to name a few of them, Delivery Hero acquired Turkish MEXT, Opsgenie Atlassian acquired Opsgenie, Prosus acquired EasyCo, Citus Data exited to Microsoft. So you can see the unicorns from the Turkey on the page as well. When we look at the investment stage, as per to the Startup Genome report, Istanbul ranked first in the last list of strong starters due to high activity in the seed and Series A deals. In the last year, as for the seed stage deal count, second in Europe after UK and the first country in the MENA region. At the idea stage, Turkish government through the big program run by a National Science Foundation of Turkey act as the biggest angel investor to support the emergence of new startups. So they are funding idea stage or seed stage startups from Turkey. Last year, a big program has invested more than 200 startups in Turkey. Well, as I mentioned earlier, how the ecosystem grow in Turkey, you may see all the relevant stakeholders are very active in the ecosystem. You may see the timeline for the yearly established ecosystem players for funding. There are business angels, crowdfunding platforms, early stage investors, and government act as an LP and investor through the development bank and wealth fund in Turkey. Also, DFIs are very active in Turkey. They are acting as LPs for Turkish VCs. And there are also various incubation centers, accelerators, technoparks running their own incubation and acceleration programs. And they are also housing the most of the Turkish startups. And together with these institutions, other NGOs are supporting or providing mentorship and guidance for Turkish startups for their globalization journey. So when we look at the investment rounds comparatively, we see that in the last year, with more than 400 deal count and above 1.1 billion investment amount, Turkey ranked 12th in Europe and just above Ireland and Austria in the MENA. It's fourth in the for MENA region behind UAE. So you can see also the heat map of the investment rounds for the last year. So Turkey is in the same league for the Italy and Spain. So another vivid area we should talk about is the acquisitions and secondary transactions. Last year, early stage ventures, early stage and late stage ventures in Turkey was M&A volume was above 1.8 billion, tripled compared to the last year. So some of the Turkish startups acquired by international strategic investors, and some of the Turkish startups also acquired their international competitors or other market players. So just to name a few of them, Kaspi from the Kazakhstan acquired majority shares of Hepsiburada, BlaBlaCar acquired Turkish Obelet, W Games acquired Paxi Games. For Turkish startups, to DigiPace acquired UAE-based NeoPay, Papara acquired Rebellion and SadaPay, Binbin acquired Amsterdam-based Go, and also, there are some IPOs in the Turkish market. Altınay, Maçkolik, Ebebek made their IPOs in the Turkish ecosystem. And Marta made its went public through SPAC in New York Stock Exchange. So you can see the deal count and deal size for the M&A as well. I would like to mention two verticals within this ecosystem. One of them is gaming, the other one is fintechs. So this booming gaming ecosystem it consists of over 800 large and small studios. Turkish game software export reached over $2.5 billion, and thriving Turkish ecosystem has generated a great deal of interest from the foreign investors. San Francisco-based Zynga has acquired 7 different gaming studios from Turkey. And their acquisition for the Epic Games marks the first $1.1 billion plus exit for the country, and the Peak was an important platform for the ecosystem development. 65 ex-employees established their own startups, and 37 of them were on the gaming vertical. So it will become a great platform for or great school for the ecosystem development. And the other verticals were fintech. So for fintech, Turkey has the biggest debit card and credit card market in Europe. Turkey has one of the largest populations in Europe, so that most of and also Turkey has most of its digital or finance related laws in accordance with the EU laws. So we have our open banking applications are in line with the PSD2 of Europe, and Turkey started to give a digital banking license to digitalize banking applications in Turkey. So you can see on the page fintech companies were by verticals. Most of them are in payment section, followed by banking technologies, cryptocurrency, and corporate finance verticals. So for the fundraising activities for the last 2 years, it was the record years for Turkey, and acquisitions made by Turkish fintechs last year due to NeoPay acquisition by the DigiPace. It was then again a record year for Turkish ecosystem. So what are those growth drivers in Turkey? So I will mention a few of them. First, the strategic geographical location. Second, tech-savvy young population, and a strong talent pool, strong R&D ecosystem in Turkey. So within a 4-hour flight radius from Istanbul, you can access the 1.3 billion people in more than 50 countries. Turkish Airlines, as the flagship carrier, connects you more than 300 destinations and globally. Both local and international companies using Turkey as their both management hub and production hub for surrounding markets. Second one, Turkey has unveiled the largest and youngest population in Europe. So it will be and when we look at the population pyramid of Turkey and European nations, Turkey is 10 years younger than Europe, with almost 1 million yearly university graduates from the universities, and 100,000 IT and engineering graduates. Turkey provides one of the largest talent pools in Europe for the tech ecosystem, and we see that more and more companies, more and more technology companies are utilizing that ecosystem. And on the left-hand side table, you can see the age distribution of ICT specialists across Europe. Almost 60% for Turkey, almost 60% is younger than 35 years old, and this is the youngest in Europe. On the right-handed table, you can see the average salaries for software developers. There is a fourfold difference between the US and the Turkey market. So big tech and startups they are using this talent pool, and it's amazing how they can establish world-class operations at this price level. And another point is, of course, to support by the government. There are very lucrative incentives through whole innovation life cycle. There are supports from both from idea stage to patented sales. For idea stage, there is techno startups incentives. There are cash-based supports and investment by the government. And then for product and project development phase, there are call-based TUBITAK programs for industry and academia fellowship programs. For commercialization phase, technoparks and R&D centers with the they are providing a tax-free environment for their corporate and personal income taxes. They are getting some remedies, some tax cuts for the technology companies that have their operations in these technoparks and R&D centers. For manufacturing side, there is a technology-focused industrial movement program. Government also giving these technology companies, if they are producing their products from Turkey. And lastly, for the patented sales from benefit from patent box, which means tax incentives for R&D are available even if it does not result with IP rights. However, when it does, 50% of these revenues from 50% of these revenues income from the inventions and software sales are exempt from corporate income tax. Qualifying income from leasing, transferring, and selling intangible rights arising from the R&D activities qualify from 100% VAT exemption in Turkey. And lastly, to sum up why invest in Turkish ecosystem. Turkey has already a mature ecosystem for technology development. Turkey has a large and young population with high tech penetration rates, and it's ideal for product testing. Turkey has geographical location, provides easy access to surrounding markets, around 1.3 billion people, and with easy access funding for startups, especially in the seeds and Series A stage. And we see that there are some verticals, some areas already emerging from Turkey, like the gaming, fintech, SaaS, and it will be followed by AI in the upcoming years. Successful exits to global companies with increasing international recognition. We have already 1 decacorn, 6 unicorns, and we will see that more coming in these years. And for the investors, there are co-investment opportunities with the Turkish VC funds to benefit from the next successful exit round. So thanks for having me today. If you have any questions, any inquiries, I will be happy to answer all of your questions.
Wonderful. Ahmed, thank you very much for this insightful presentation.
You're
I think
welcome. I didn't go deep dive into this ecosystem because there are lots of colleagues will be explaining more on these issues. I will try to be quick and be precise in these.
Well, good. Thank you very much. I think your overview was a perfect way to get the stage set for this workshop. And as you said, some of the speakers might be picking up the details that you have already briefly mentioned. But I think this was a perfect way to get started. So thanks a lot. Now a question to the audience. If there are any remarks, any questions, any curiosities, please use the Q&A function of the Zoom call to submit your questions, and we'll make sure to answer them live here.
So should we wait for the end of the program, or should we have the question right now?
I would say let's take a couple of minutes to get these questions answered right away. So at the moment, I can see the Q&A chat is still empty, no questions, but people might be typing. So we'll give it 1 or 2 minutes. Think about it, make use of having Ahmet as an expert here, and clear those questions from your minds. Okay, I still don't see any questions at this point. Then I would, oh, there's one. One is coming up. So the question, Ahmet, is, what about startups from Turkey? Is it fruitful scene for them in Turkey? How do you think?
Yeah, actually, so as I mentioned, there is an ecosystem so that made up from the both supporting ecosystem for NGOs and technoparks, other incubation centers, and also government provide some programs for the startups to flourish from Turkey, so that we can see that as I shown in the at the beginning of my presentation. So we can see that there are different types of stakeholders in Turkey, so that they are all of them are providing guidance and mentorship or funding to Turkish startups to develop their products, so that with their products, so they can go global from Turkish market. And we see the results of these programs. So we can see that the average amount of investment, it was around 60 million at the beginning of the last 10 years, but within the last 4 years, it was above 1 billion for each year. So we can see that more and more companies are growing from for Turkish ecosystem, and also international investors started to invest in Turkey together with the Turkish VCs, and government also acting as an investor in these funds in Turkey by acting as LP. So we can say that although there are some hurdles in the ecosystem, there is a growing ecosystem to flourish more to startups from Turkey.
Thank you very much for that answer.
You're welcome. Do we have another question?
There are no more questions in the Q&A chat box at the moment. I would, however,
okay, then it's all clear. So
seems to be. And if there are more questions coming up, we would suggest to reach out to Ahmet directly or to us, and we are happy to make an introduction.
Maybe I can write my email on the chat, so all of the participants can see my mail address, so they can reach out to me directly from my mail address.
That is a good idea. That is a very good idea too.
Thanks for having me again.
Thank you for your presentation.
You're welcome.
All right. So with that, after having had a perfect preparation and getting to know Turkey as a country, we'll dive into the next section, which is focusing on the key industry sectors and the market opportunities of Turkey. And I would like to introduce our first speakers of that section, who are representing EGA, Istanbul Airport. Bilal Yildiz, who is Senior Electronic Systems Manager and working super closely with startups, as well as Murat Aydemir. I hope I pronounced that name correctly. And I know Bilal is dialing in from China, so it's very late in the evening at the moment. Are you here, Bilal?
Hello, everybody. Regards from China, Wenju. How are you?
Wonderful. I'm great. How about yourself?
Yeah, good. Right now, I'm in also another business meeting. Sorry for the noise in the background, if there are any kind of noises. So, yes, right now is we can say the evening or night time in Wenju. But we will try our best with my friend, Murat. And we will try to explain actually how we cooperated with the startups and what we are doing in Istanbul Airport. and what we can do, what we are doing, and what is the opportunities in Istanbul Airport, and we will try to explain in 10 minutes.
That sounds great. Wonderful. Then
Okay.
I will leave the stage to you. I will stop sharing my screen and hand it over to Murat, I guess.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Murat, I will share the screen and I will just explain quickly, introduce to our presentation, and after that, Murat Bey will continue what we are doing. Yeah, I'm working as electronic systems manager. I'm responsible for the many of the different electronic systems, including the IoT infrastructure and also we are responsible for the innovation management on behalf of our IGA management team. And also we are part of a sustainability team in Istanbul Airport. So we are taking care about the sustainability aspects and energy efficiency studies, and also the, how can I say, working closely with our environment department. Murat Bey?
Okay, can you see my presentation? It's okay? Just to be confirmed.
Yes, we can see the presentation.
Okay. Well, let's start with IGA. IGA, born as a startup, 5 construction companies joined together to establish or construct this airport. And the journey, the timeline finished in 42 months, which is remarkable at that time period. And right now, IGA Istanbul Airport is the busiest airport in Europe consecutively. So what we are doing for the technology side and for the startups. First of all, the biggest challenges airport right now facing sorry. Right now, the biggest challenges airport facing are, one of them is sustainability. But we believe the renewable energy on its own will not be enough. We have to optimize our resources and optimize our operations and become more efficient. To do that, IGA Istanbul Airport has developed several applications in different scopes. And one of them is the IoT energy efficiency applications, solar power plant investments, electrification of the vehicles, and so on. When we look at the wireless IoT technologies, we have big tech companies' management systems such as SCADA or BMS, but we use wireless IoT system to complementary of these systems. We gather data with the IoT systems that big tech management systems cannot reach, or maybe too expensive to collect data.
Sorry for interrupting you. In that period, I would like to just add some more details about our IoT infrastructure. Why we are explaining that IoT infrastructure? As you know well, Istanbul Airport is almost new airport. We was born in 7 years ago. And in that period, actually, in the construction phases, we designed and implemented that IoT infrastructure to our airport. And we believe that the existing and the conventional SCADA and automation systems are not enough. So if you are talking about any kind of new construction, the SCADA and automation systems is the standard of any kind of facilities. So there are no doubt. If you are constructing something, so you have to purchase standard and the conventional SCADA and automation system from the field. But we said that from the beginning, from the construction side, that kind of technologies are not enough. So in the field, unfortunately, when you start to work with the big vendors like Siemens, Honeywell, and the Johnson Control, they are selling what they have. They don't care about your needs and your solution needs. That's why we implemented that wireless IoT infrastructure. That's a kind of infrastructure. And right now, we can say that we can develop any kind of metering and monitoring solutions based on this infrastructure. And from the beginning, 7 years ago, we developed that infrastructure with one of the a small startup in Turkey, Turkish startup. And we established that technology for developing that kind of niche and the detailed solutions with the startups. And thanks to our IoT infrastructure, right now, easily, if we need any kind of detailed data or focused data from any kind of field equipments or the field, directly we are scouting the startups, can develop that sensors and the solutions, and after that, easily we can implement that technology to our IoT infrastructure.
Okay, for example, we see cleaning and equipment tracking IoT project is one of the extreme examples of this one. We can monitor every equipment in a VC if they are finished or not, nearly depleted. So immediately we can change it. And also this application can provide good information about which areas we need to focus and we need to improve. And some other example is about the energy continuity. We use IoT devices to monitor critical infrastructures energies. So if there are any disturbance, energy shortage, we send directly SMS to the field and solve the problem more quickly. These are just some examples. And we have an electrical vehicle e-mobility ecosystem. As you know, the electrical vehicles is getting into our lives. We use them more and more day by day. And also in Istanbul Airport, we have several electrical vehicles such as buggies, scooters, and vehicles we use on the air side. But when you have this kind of different equipments and amount, you have to monitor them. So we developed a monitoring application for the buggy devices. We monitor these buggies, better usage, heats, voltage, and also we can generate an early fire warning to the data we gather from this application. And sometimes the wireless IoT technologies we use is not enough. We need more data, or we need more reliable communication. So we are working on private LTE and 5G infrastructures also. But these infrastructure is not for the end user. This will be for the machine-to-machine communication or industrial usage. And while we are using these wireless technologies so frequently and intensively, we also developing a security system for the spectrum. We call it radio frequency and aviation security system. Basically, this system will act like an antivirus and scan the AX spectrum and notify us if there are any problem in the wireless communication systems, even they are for the airplane to ground communication, ground to airplane communication, or the communication as we described before. So we collect lots of data from different systems, and we are gathering these data in our big data IoT platform. These platforms give us to make predictive maintenance analysis or optimization analysis and provide us to insights to improve ourselves. So these are the things we do right now, and not so long ago with the Plug and Play and our partners, we joined a roundtable organization, and these are some outcomes from that roundtable organization. What is this short-term technology interests and long-term interests? These are such as robotics automation, IoT sensors, aircraft intelligence, energy and waste management, digital and seamless journey, HR and employee branding. These are the short terms. And for the long terms, new aircraft tanks automation, hydrogen or sustainable aviation fuel, autonomous vehicles, digital IDs, or VTOLs. These are the technologies we think that will be alive on the long term. And how we are planning to work on these technologies, well, we want to follow, or we will follow, an open innovation approach. So before we say IGA born as a startup, but when the time passes, it's structured as a more formal organization. So to be compete or be flexible and be agile, we want to work with the startups. So we have IGA Hub. We work with the universities, and we have collaboration with the organizations such as Plug and Play. From time to time, we meet with our partners inside the aviation ecosystem and discuss about the opportunities and the ideas. And right now, the things we are investigating with the startups are, one of them is the AI-driven autonomous shift planning. It is to estimate the queues and arrange the security shifts accordingly to improve our efficiency. Another one is to predictive maintenance about the machine equipments, autonomous robots, and we have a huge solar power plant investment. We are talking with the startups to predictive maintenance and operation of this power plant. Yeah, and
thank you very much, Murat Bey, for your presentation. Why we explain all of this in details to everybody. And we are saying that Istanbul Airport is a perfect place for the startups, actually. And we are really, really open to work with the startups. We are very, very familiar to work with the startups. And also our departments and our companies acting like actually the startups. So we have too many different problems because we are a huge, huge airport. And there are huge plays, and our construction phase is not stopped, not finished yet. And there are 4 different phases, and just we have completed the phase 2, and the phase 3 and phase 4 is oncoming. So we are working on the construction side. In that period, and also in our existing operation dynamics, we need too many different solutions, like in the presentation, for example. And in this presentation, we just showed you, we developed all of these technologies with our internal teams, and also we work with the startup, with the too many different startups closely. So we are really open to work with any kind of different startups, and that's why we are working with, and we are happy to work with the Plug and Play, and we are really open to listen startups if they think if it is good, that they have a good solution. Because right now we have a solar power plant, and we are investing, and we are constructing more than 200 megawatt solar power plant, and we have too many different buildings, the facilities, infrastructure, technology infrastructure, airside, and we have too many different stakeholders, and we can provide too many different type of information to the startup. So we can work together, and we can develop too many different technologies together. So we would like to just say that one. Thank you very much to everybody.
Thank you very much for this great and insightful presentation. We do have 2 questions on the Q&A box, actually. Would you be willing to answer them live for us here?
Good question. Actually, right now we organize that events with the Plug and Play. And of course, directly you can reach to us. And also, if they are part of the Plug and Play ecosystem, so they can reach us, and directly they can communicate with the Turkish, how can I say, customer success manager, Elif Hanım, or directly you can communicate with the Vienna team's manager. And after that, they can forward us all of this information to to us.
That sounds great. Maybe to read out one of the questions that is on the chat box here. Someone is asking, what are the green flags you look for when considering a pilot or a partnership with a startup? And how can they reach out for a potential collaboration? So what is the best way?
Actually, the same answer is available. I can say the same answer to that question. They can come to via plug and play, or directly they can write to us. We already shared our, and how can I say, email addresses. If they have any kind of presentation, and we will evaluate them. And if we need their solution directly, we will contact with them. There are no procedure, and we are not just talking about the, how can I say, you have to follow that procedure, blah blah. No, directly we are going to deep dive sessions, and directly we are evaluating them. And if it is fitting us, if there are good solution for us, directly we are talking about the POCs. And in the presentation, they already saw too many different POC options, POC solutions, and the implemented technologies actually with the startups.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Bilal. Also, Murat, thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you very much.
Good evening to Istanbul, but also to China. And thank you very much, Bilal, for joining us at this late time of yours. So let me go ahead, share my screen, and introduce you to the next speaker of today's session. We are still in section number 2, and we're looking at key industries and market opportunities. And I would like to introduce Can Saracoglu to you. I hope I'm pronouncing that name correctly. He has a very diverse background. So he's here as not only a founding partner of Archimède Ventures. He's also investor at String Ventures and a lecturer at university. So lots of industry background. Can, I'm handing it over to you to open the speaking slot. And after your presentation, Ece from MEXT will be speaking. She's Strategy and Business Development Director. And yeah, Can, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me share my deck. It's very nice to be here with you. I've had a lot of exposure back in time with the Ukrainian tech ecosystem. Actually, I'm an investor in one of the Ukrainian startups, Spin Backup. Now it's known as Spin AI. And back in time, I was visiting Unit City quite often. A very brief information about Turkish ecosystem. It's pretty much like centered around university accelerator programs. In a sense, imagine Unit City, which is a science park, and they're being positioned within the university campuses in that regard. It started with tax incentives and all that stuff, and then universities begin to make money out of that, and it helped them flourish, helped them come up with really vibrant ecosystems. But it's pretty much limited to ecosystem access, I will say. So with regard to lab access or other details, I'm going to refer to some interesting programs, but most of the universities, you won't be able to find those access points. There's only one interesting angle in the market that I'm going to share after a brief intro to the market. Pretty much what I'll say is a wrapped up version of Mr. Ahmet Diler's market overview, I will say. I'm gonna outline some of the really critical information for you so that you'll be able to compare Turkish ecosystem with other ecosystems, and depending on what you're doing, you will be able to make the right decision, where to focus, where to deploy your go-to-market energy and resources. So yeah, we are a big country in terms of economy and in terms of population. One interesting aspect of Turkey within the larger context of Europe, it's relatively young market. We are 10 years younger than European average. So it enables us to kind of deploy breakthrough technologies in a sense more easily. Our consumer base is much more adept in taking on new technologies, new offerings, and making them part of their daily lives, I will say. We're one of the $1 billion plus $1 billion club in terms of the investment size. With the dark red, you'll see is the markets where you can find investment volume in that regard. So I think we're kind of attractive in that sense. If you're a early stage startup, it won't be, and if you're a good startup, of course, it won't be a big problem to find investment in Turkey. I'm gonna get into further detail in that one, but you have to be careful and you have to look further into detail. And when you look at it, like last year in 2024, around 450 startups, seed stage startups got investments, and early stage startups, meaning Series A and B, the number is 18. So with later startups, it decreases to 3 startups basically. So Turkey is more of an activation ecosystem, I will say. So if you're a pre-seed or seed stage startup, or you're doing seed extensions, you're still trying to validate your idea, or you validated your idea, but you're trying to fine-tune your product market fit journey, let's say, it's a great market because it's big, it's crowded, the consumers quite adapt, the companies, corporations, if you're a B2B startup, are quite adept as well in that regard because they have to be responsive to a young market. So it's great if you're like a pre-Series A stage startup, I will say, to test your idea, to find the PMF. But even for Turkish startups, when they kind of go beyond that, when they go beyond Series A, let's say, most of Turkish startups look into US market as a leaping market, and that's one of the realities of the market, and that's pretty much applicable to larger European market as well, I would say. So Turkey is a great market if you're particularly in one of these verticals. Like at the right-hand side of my screen, you're gonna see top 10 funded verticals. We have significant SaaS presence in the market, and AI is, of course, I mean, AI is more of a horizontal actually, so it's applicable to a lot of different industries. So I wouldn't categorize it as a vertical in that regard, and it's the new thing, the hype and all that stuff. But when you look at it, because it's a relatively large market, one of the most crowded market in Europe, I would say, SaaS and its applications and marketing tech startups, or some consumer applications like grocery delivery, we're quite good at in that regard. We're like the category inventors of that. Like with Getter, we invented the dark store concept, and then we kind of extended it abroad as well. So those verticals, if you're active in those verticals, it's quite an attractive market, I would say. And secondly, as Mr. Ahmet Diler referred, I will say it's a great market for fintech startups because we have an advanced banking system and infrastructure and quite adaptive consumer. It's also quite open to, because it's a high inflationary environment, they're also quite open to, crypto exchanges, blockchain startups, etc. So if you're a fintech startup, it's a good market as well. And with gaming, I need to make a distinction, particularly for casual gaming. Turkey is a huge ecosystem. I mean, back in time, it was Finland, I will say, but now it's pretty much like Turkey in Europe, which is leading the ecosystem in that regard. And if you're a gaming startup, it's great because you have exposure to a lot of gaming professionals. So you can recruit them, you can kind of find the right talent in that regard, or you can find investments as well, because there are a lot of people in Turkish market who made significant wealth out of gaming, and they set up new funds, they became LPs in new funds and all that stuff. So it's great if you're in casual gaming as well. And finally, like IoT, the IGA kind of touched on that point, and automotive related technologies. Turkey has a very strong industrial base actually. Like we're manufacturing like 10% of European manufacturing output. So in that regards, if you're also in like smart manufacturing, industry 4.0, or those related verticals, it's also a quite attractive market in that regard. Now, for the realities of today, I know that there are a lot of defense industry startups in Ukraine, and they're kind of, due to the conditions, like probably top-notch and leading the innovation because they're applying that innovation. They've been forced to apply that innovation. And I will suggest that, and you know, the Baykar, Bayraktar, but we also have another big defense company called Turkish Aerospace. And they're like the producers, manufacturers of the large drones, like heavy drones. And also they're working on the Turkish fourth generation fighter. They recently launched a training fighter as well. They're also big in kind of space technologies, satellite technologies as well. And they have a brilliant program called Hangar Campus. I mean, unlike other accelerators, which just give you kind of, you know-how or access to ecosystem, on top of those, they give you infrastructure and hardware support. They give you access to their facilities. So you can produce stuff, you can manufacture stuff, you can have access to their laboratory usage, and you can get covered and supported by a lot of great technical mentors who are active working on these breakthrough technologies in that regard. They also have a massive field test facility as well on their premises, so you can do POCs. So I'll suggest that if for Ukrainian defense industry related startups, I think it's one of the most attractive markets, I would say. And finally, with again reference to the IGA, like, you know, Istanbul with 17 million people is Europe's most populated city. So we have a lot of opportunities in mobility area. Like we're still trying to, because we have a we probably have one of the worst traffic problem in the world in Istanbul. And it's kind of bringing up the opportunity to come up with breakthrough mobility ideas and also enabling technology ideas like autonomous delivery robots, etc. We also have, as Iga highlighted, have the busiest airport in Europe with 310 non-stop destinations. So there are a lot of mobility data over there as well. And we are in between the kind of continents. So Turkey is naturally a global logistics center in that regard. So we're kind of a regional hub for transportation. And because of that, thanks to our industrial base, like we're manufacturing the 10% of European industrial output, it's also great for smart manufacturing startups as well. For this mobility, logistics, and smart manufacturing startups, now I'm going to pass the word to Ece from MEXT, which is one of the world's leading digital transformation centers for the industry. And I think it's going to be complementary for you to be able to see the opportunities in Turkish market. Thank you, Maya.
Let me take over from Can Saracoglu. Thank you so much, Can Bey.
Okay.
And I will continue focusing on manufacturing ecosystem in Turkey. I'm Ece, and I'm working as a Strategy and Business Development Director at MEXT Technology Center. Share. I think it's okay. Yes. I'm working as a Strategy and Business Development Director at MEXT Technology Center. MEXT Technology Center is kind of a one-stop shop or gathering point for manufacturing companies with technology providers, startups, and other multi-stake holders, and established by the Turkish Metal Employers Association, which represents more than 270 different manufacturing companies, mainly operated in metal industry. But as MEXT, as the technology center, we are serving not only the metal companies, mainly automotive, white goods producers, automotive suppliers, steel, copper, aluminium producers, but we are also serving more than 15 different industries, which means we are closely conducting technical assessment to these companies. That's why we know what the main pain points of manufacturing companies. That's why you can use MEXT as an gateway, the bridge to enter Turkey market. That's why I will give details about how we can engage, how we can collaborate with startups. We will be so open to discuss with you your solutions and how can we engage. And let me give details and very brief info about MEXT. MEXT is a kind of a technology center, serves to manufacturing companies to accelerate their digital, green, and AI transformation. 4.5 years ago, actually our association backed 65 years old, but 5 years ago we established this facility, and we are engaging more than right now 600 manufacturing companies, mainly in Turkey, but also in eastern part of Europe, Azerbaijan, Saudi Arabia, and so on. That's why we will be happy to connect with you with manufacturing companies. We have a good connection and we know their pain points. But as the technology center, okay, we are giving technical consultancies and capability building programs, upskilling, helping to companies. But we have also one, as you can see in these videos, we have also one shop floor, the digital factory, which we are showcasing the technological solutions relates and solves manufacturing pain points. That's why you can think this area as a test bed, as a showroom to showcase to be implement your solution and to reach out to manufacturing companies, because this area get hosting more than 30,000 participants last 3 years. That's why it is an easy way to be seen in the Turkey market, and it is always it's an alive ecosystem. We are happy with our technical team. We are happy to implement your solutions and develop, co-create new use cases with your solution in this facility. We are producing gearbox. And if you think, as you can see, I'm staying in this video because you can see there are multiple opportunities to be integrated in the production unit. Even though we have a discrete production, as you can see, we have also digital twin of steel production, focusing on more data AI use cases as well. And as MEXT, we have a very wide ecosystem. We are engaging closely, working with global institutions and as plug and play, and global technology providers. But very recent, last 2 years, we are mainly focusing on finding, scouting disruptive solutions all around the world. That's why we will be very happy to hear more about you. These are the numbers of MEXT, just to showcase our footprint, how we can reach out to manufacturing companies, how we can deploy startup solutions. As we are giving consultancy, we are also introducing technology provider solutions with the companies. It's kind of a gateway. But let's move on to our focus. Our focus means actually Turkish manufacturing focus. We started for sure Industry 4.0. These are the very wide portfolio, I would say, verticals. But if you are in one of these areas, we will be happy to connect. Industry 4.0 for sure. As Can Saracoglu mentioned, mobility is one of the important areas which we are looking for, and also companies are looking for. Supply chain, traceability of supply chain solutions. The supply chain is also important very specifically. And for sure, energy and the new materials. These are the very wide verticals, I can name it. But how we can engage in this startup, it will be also important to mention about. Actually, we are engaging with startups in multiple ways. You can think this in a funnel model. We are engaging, and startups are reaching out us to connect with the manufacturing companies. We are any kind of company, when they reach out, we are deep diving into their solutions. If we really like and see the matching with the manufacturing needs, we are doing some technical and commercial DDs by ourselves within our in-house team. And if you see their technical DD, the startup's technical DD pass our technical team, we will be so glad to make this introduction to directly to manufacturing companies, because based on our assessment manufacturing companies, we know which company is need which solution. That's why it's kind of an easy matchmaking for us. And but afterwards, if we see the very big opportunity to scale up the startup solutions, I will give the example from Intensai case, one of the Turkish startup. We are also happy to build business case with the startup as a win-win model and help scaling up their solutions. One of the recent example, Intensai. Intensai is a Turkish startup, actually. But right now they flip up to US and they raise Series B level. And how we can engage with them? Actually, the MEXT allocated small funding to deploy a startup solution. And within our network ecosystem, we can reach out many companies with our sales and business development team. We became their lead generator. And actually, with this funding, we also discounted their prices, and they implement their solutions. More than 75 companies, and you can imagine the 75 different logos, and more than 169 factories. You can imagine this gave them a very big boost to reach this valuation level. That's why if we see the potential to scale up, we will be happy to design this scaling up opportunity with the startup within our very strong manufacturing ecosystem. But apart from them, you can think MEXT, our digital factory, as a showcase area. You can see some of the examples like here. During our training programs, during our consultancy services, we are also giving these examples, explaining these examples, startup solutions to manufacturing company. It's an easy way to deploy in Turkey market. And opportunistically, sometimes we are also putting some of the solutions all together and using our global network to deploy and to publish successful startup solutions to wider network, wider ecosystem, which is one of the This is one of the examples, which in collaboration with World Economic Forum white paper, which published in Davos. But it is one of the example we can discuss more on more tailored solutions as well. To engage with us, you can take my email address from here. But as we are partner organization with Plug and Play last 4 years, you can easily connect with them directly and think about MEXT as a gathering point, as a one-stop shop for manufacturing companies. You can use MEXT as a gateway to reach out manufacturing companies, to be seen in Turkey market. With our technical team, we will be happy to co-develop, co-create. And I think these are the opportunities to enter and how you can enter Turkey market. And manufacturing companies are happy to engaging with startups last, I think, 5 years. Happy to answer your questions.
Thank you very much for this insightful presentation. There are actually some questions on the Q&A box. So while you have answered how to reach out with the technology already, there is an additional question to you, Ece. How developed does a startup need to be in order to be able to work with MEXT?
Actually, we are open to any stages, every stages, but for sure, to deploy your solution within the manufacturing companies to companies, it needs to be proven, it needs to be commercial at some point, because manufacturing companies needs to be looking for more stable and mature solutions. But with us, they can be more open to engage with startups. It is also one fact, but it shouldn't be in a prototype at the pilot phase. Manufacturing companies looking for more mature solutions. That's why even though MEXT open to every stages, but if you would like to scale up your solutions in Turkey, these are the manufacturing companies' perspective.
Sounds great. Thank you very much. Then there is one question to Can. Can, are you still here?
Yep, I'm still here. I'm back.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's great. I'm going to read that question out for you.
Sure.
So from your perspective, is there any specific Ukrainian industries that are in particular interesting for the Turkish ecosystem?
To be honest, like I would say, apart from the defense that I already highlighted, which is I think big, and apart from the transportation technology startups, fintech, and gaming, I will say like Turkey is quite interesting in the material science regard, because back in Soviet times, I think Ukraine was one of the centers for that. In terms of energy and material science. So their engineering capability, their output of good universities would be valuable here because due to the industrial base, there are a lot of use cases for new materials in Turkey, and there will be even more. Same applies to new energy as well. I think these two verticals are also quite interesting because they're complementary to the industrial base, I would say.
Great. Wonderful. Well, thank you very much for your presentations and for sharing these insights with us.
Thank
It's
you.
great to have you here.
Thanks, Maya.
And with that, we will proceed with our workshop. Next up, I'm very happy to introduce you to my dear colleague, Anastasia, who is a program development manager at Vacuum Deep Tech Acceleration, and she is taking over the moderation of this next agenda part. And with that, Anastasia, I'm handing over to you.
Thank you so much, Maya. Always a pleasure to work with you and to co-organize this workshop and with these amazing experts and speakers. And I'm deeply happy to welcome our next guest. It's Ömer Hantal. Ömer is an ecosystem builder and innovation strategist who is helping shape the future of technology and entrepreneurship across borders. Ömer serves as innovation director at Fark Labs, where he leads investment and innovation strategies, supporting deep tech startups and mobility solutions with global perspective. In addition to that, Ömer holds the role of EIT community officer for Turkey, where he plays a role in bringing Turkish innovation stakeholders with European networks, fostering collaboration between startups, industry, and policymakers. With that said, Ömer, are you here with us? Hi.
Yes. Thank you very much, Anastasia. Hello, everybody.
Hi. And Maya, I would kindly ask you to turn off the screen so we can see each other. Yep, perfect. Thank you for joining us and me for this fireside chat. It will be an interactive questions and answers today. And I would love to start with a bigger picture. The question is, what are you currently seeing across the Turkish startup ecosystem? What kind of innovations are gaining traction, and where do you see the real opportunity for growth that from this knowledge Ukrainian startups can implement and grow on the Turkish market?
Well, as my other colleagues were presenting in the previous presentations, they were quite interesting, and I hope for the audience it took attention. I'm sorry, the sun is coming from the outside a bit, so I'm moving. Sorry. Well, actually, Turkey is a big market for all the possible European startups who wants to come and make the business and invest within Turkey. There are lots of opportunities on the manufacturing side. On the now slowly AI is growing, as Fark Labs, we are investing a lot in the automotive-related businesses, mobility-related businesses, as well as the net zero and the green technologies and the material technologies. So I know that Ukraine has a big background on the research field, and thus we need innovative solutions for those kind of opportunities. And with all the situation happening in your country and also around the world, dual use it took lots of attention at this moment. So no matter what you do on the civil applications and the defense applications, there's a big catch all around Europe, including Turkey. So there are this kind of opportunities and good, let's say, chance to make the business within Turkey as well for this field.
Thank you. And if we start from the very beginning, you've seen many startups to enter the new market, especially yours, and they usually make mistakes. So what are the common mistakes that you see that startups make trying to scale into Turkey, and what should they definitely do and avoid?
Well, as I said, like Turkey is a big market. There are lots of opportunities and threats, you can say. But Turkey is based on a trust market, so people has to have the relationships matter, this kind of things. And this is a quite critical to have a local connector, at least somebody to help you to navigate on bureaucracy, business culture, and networks. But one of the mistakes for a foreigner company who wants to do business in Turkey, it's about, I mean, don't assume what worked in Ukraine will come and plug and play and work in the same way. So the language is not the only thing that we have to change. It's about the value and the translation of the business way that you do and stuff. So it's quite critical in this kind of matters within Turkey. So for many startups that we are also investing and also working together for EIT programs and so on coming to Turkey, we are always saying that the way that you do, let's say, this business in Spain or in Italy, it might be even different here, even if you're an all Mediterranean country. And if you go to north and northern countries, the way that you communicate and you explain stuff also can be a bit different.
And can the EIT community become this entry point for Ukrainian startups to find this connection? And what is the best approach to now you switch to EIT.
No, I have to put my head in like EIT.
Yeah, I love that. And what is the best approach to connect with EIT, and maybe this organization can help become this first point of contact for startups?
Well, we have to start from EIT. EIT is a big opportunity for Turkish startups as well as Ukrainian startups as well, because it's not about only funds or some supports, but it's about the business creation. So for a Ukrainian startup through the EIT programs, they can find customers in Portugal, or Turkish startup can find customers through EIT in Germany and so on. In this case, for Ukrainian startups, EIT programs and EIT calls are creating lots of good opportunities depending to the programs that they do. In Turkey, we have beside the EIT community, we already have 2 established hubs on food and urban mobility. With just Energy finished, but they will restart it as far as I've heard. So beside these ones, now we are working with EIT manufacturing and EIT health as well. So there will be calls for this kind of programs and kicks of EIT that the Ukrainian startups can apply and take positions. In the past, through the EIT Urban Mobility Program, we had French and Spanish startups coming to Turkey, making the business with the municipalities. So it can be also a good possibility for the Ukrainian startups to work on this field. And beside these opportunities, there will be also other calls, like EIT community Turkey. We are supporting some local calls, which is open also outside of Turkey for other European countries, including Ukraine. And there will be a manufacturing call that we are doing as well with EIT manufacturing. Industry, it's called Industry. So if you go to Fark Labs social media, and then you can find this call. And then there will be the paid POCs from the Turkish industrial companies for the solutions. And the winner of this program will come to CS in Las Vegas with us in 2026. So it's a kind of opportunity. The funds for the programs are quite limited on the amount of money within Turkey. This is the truth. But the opportunities, especially on the client side, is quite immense, as my colleagues from MEXT said, explained about the manufacturing opportunities within country. And on the first presentation, there was the Invest in Turkey. So if Ukrainian startups wants to come to Turkey, make the business, invest here, produce here and stuff, there can be a very good cooperation and possibilities.
Thank you so much for your answer. I have several lines of questions, and the first would be about the behavioral patterns, like how culturally, what cultural things does the startup founder needs to be aware of while doing business, while finding the right partner, while finding the right entry point? What would be your recommendations, like where to search for these people, and those cultural differences that we might consider?
It is different. Of course, it's about what is the business model of the startup. If it's a B2B, it's a B2C or B2G or this kind of thing. So everything is different. But to enter the Turkish market and to know the market slowly, I strongly advise to have to make a EIT founded project, for example, just to know the people and how to deal people, because in Turkey we love tea. And I had once a Macedonian friend who was making the business here, and then he said, like, every day I'm drinking at least 10 tea in different places. So if you are not a tea drinker, let's say, it can be difficult to adapt it. But this is just a way that to know the culture. And we have lots of common cultures between two countries, and there are similarities and differentiations. So it's nice to come to several expos here, to know the people, and then to decide how to approach the Turkish market afterwards. Or as I said, like, I mean, there are good communications at these days on the defense take or on some other dual use issues as well. So there can be like interesting opportunities that we cannot guess at the moment.
Thank you. And our 15 minutes are like slightly over. I'm a bit shocked that we are so deeply into the conversation. To wrap up, what is the one honest piece of advice that you would give to Ukrainian founder who is thinking about entering Turkey, and what is the moment when they will say, okay, now is the time for them to go get it?
Well, in Turkey, we like to pilot and make a POC as fast as possible, because Turkish companies are maybe due to the limitation of the capital and so on, they are not in favor of waiting for years to have the result. That's why for a Ukrainian startup, it's better to dedicate itself to find a solution and to propose the solution as fast as possible, let's say. But in this case, Turkish companies are quite open to work together. So I believe that there will be interesting ways. Plus, there are lots of companies like mine as well from the industry, but also in startups. So we are always aiming to see the POC and how it works. So if it works with us, it can work with everybody else. So let's invest into the startup as well. So we are, so far as Fark Labs, we invested more than 70 startups all around the globe. and we are continuing to invest more and more every day. But the important is to prove the solution works. So the vision for the industries works. It's nice, but when it comes to the money side, they want to see the solution.
Got it. And just a small question to add up. So you would advise to be present like offline, right? So you'd better, our startups would better like apply for some I don't know, offline events that are held there or accelerators that are there, and then after like doing education or showcasing their innovations, start doing pilots fast and testing fast. Is that correct?
It is, but sometimes you have to be quite agile and you have to do stuff parallel to each other, like education, training, acceleration, and meanwhile working on your POC as well. So it's our culture. We like to do it many things in the same time. But the efficiency is a question mark. But then important is to find the right solutions as best possible. The perfection sometimes it kills the way that we work.
Always. And you were mentioning about the different calls and applications. So what is the best source where we can get all the information about it?
In Turkey, the main funds for the projects as well as the international projects is TUBITAK. They have TUBITAK Ufuk Avrupa, it's a Horizon Europe social media that you can find all the calls. There are lots of bilateral calls. I don't know exactly these days. There is a Turkish-Ukraine call at the moment, but then there are also on the Euroca program, there are this kind of big country calls. But then they can always follow up EIT. We are always presenting local and international funds. Plus, they have to join to our brokerage events. Yesterday there was one in Istanbul, and I heard there are lots of international participation as well. My colleagues went there; they got new opportunities, and I believe there will be like online ones soon through the TUBITAK page. So you can always write them, and then they can match the startups with the needed funds. And they can always write to me and to Fark Labs on the social media. And EIT community Turkey, we will be so glad to support Ukrainians.
We will definitely share the information and your like LinkedIn profile where people can reach out to you, and also like being as an organization representative, being actively involved with the collaboration with the local EIT community RIS officer who recommended to have you here with us. It's Ihor Markevich. Like we are very happy that you were able to become a part of our huge program, the Seeds of Bravery, and share your knowledge with deep tech founders and Ukrainian entrepreneurs. So
always
thank you so much.
Service. And just one last thing for Ukrainian startup or let's say ID owners, they have to follow EIT community Ukraine deeply on the social media, it's for sure. And there is EIT Jumpstarter. Every year we are making big calls. And Ukraine and Turkey are like the top 2 countries with the applications. And I hope this will be continuing in the next years. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hopefully we will like strengthen our collaboration even more yet, not only as an EIT community hubs, but broader with our ecosystems.
Wonderful. My cousin lives in Ukraine, so I have to come.
Oh, really?
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ömer, for being here today with us and for our fireside chat. It was insightful and hopefully very useful for our founders. Thank you. Bye-bye. Maya, handing over to you to have our next speaker, if we are ready.
Thank you very much. Yes, so after lots of input on the key industry sectors, and thank you very much also for this agile fireside chat and the insightful conversation, we are switching to the next section of our workshop. which is going to be the university and research landscape. And with that, I am very excited to have speakers from the Istanbul Technical University here with us today. We're going to talk about its role for the Turkish ecosystem and also the impact and the meaning of the Incubation Center for Startups. And with that, I would like to introduce Professor Attila Dikbas, who is the CEO of the Technopark at Istanbul Technical University, as well as Dr. Yunis İsmayil, who is the director of the Incubation Center. Do I have you on the call here already? And if yes, please turn on your cameras, because I'd like to hand over the microphone to you.
Hi, Maya. I am here.
Yes, we can see you. Wonderful.
Yeah. Our CEO, Professor Attila Dikbas, had a last minute flight, so he's in airplane right now. So that's why I think he will not be able to join us. And I can continue if it's okay.
Thank you very much for covering. Then I will unshare my presentation and leave the sharing over to you.
Just sharing in a minute, in a second.
No worries.
Okay. Can you see my screen right now?
Yes, we can see it. Perfect.
Okay. Hi everyone. Thank you for the invitation, by the way, Maya. My name is Yunis İsmayil. I am director of ITU Çekirdek Incubation Center, which is the incubation center of Istanbul Technical University's Science Park, ITU Arı Teknokent. I will briefly introduce our Technopark and our incubation center and what we do, what kind of supports we provide to startups. ITU Arı Teknokent is the Science Park of Istanbul Technical University, and these are the actually brands which we support startups with different mechanisms. I will go to the details of these programs briefly in next slides. Since the university is one of the main power behind us and one of the main shareholder of our Technopark, I would like to briefly introduce the university. Istanbul Technical University is the oldest and leading engineering university in Turkey, with its research centers, laboratories, academic and other academicians and other opportunities. So we are proud of it. About Turkey's technology ecosystem, there is a technology development zone which was enacted in 2001, and it enables technoparks to provide tax incentives to the technology developing companies. So tech companies can be resident of technoparks, in other words, technology development zones, and can benefit from tax incentives. And there are right now 105 technoparks in Turkey, almost in all cities. And our technopark is one of the leading technoparks, and actually one of the two initial technoparks in Turkey. Briefly about our numbers, ITU Arı Teknokent has 10 different buildings in a campus area, which has 130,000 square meter area. And right now we have more than 380 resident companies, which they have completed 5.5 thousand R&D projects so far. And these are the R&D personnel and the exports and total revenue those companies have reached so far cumulatively. And briefly about our history of our Technopark, we were established in 2002. In the first 10 years, actually, it was the formation phase for us. We built new buildings, infrastructure, and other feasibility activities. The second year is the the second decade actually is the period which we invested on startup support programs, mechanisms during this second decade. In 2011, we established our incubation center ITU Çekirdek, and in 2014, we started our global acceleration program for foreign markets, especially US. And then we, launched our scale-up center and vertical programs with main authorities in the different sectors. And the last 5 years is actually the period which we've mainly focused on the globalization. We launched our IQC program, which enables us to support startups from other countries. So far we have supported startups from 90 different countries. Actually, we increased the scope of our programs during the last 5 years, and right now, actually, we are working on establishing our own VC fund. And in 2023, we were awarded as top university business incubator, almost 2,000 incubators and accelerators in the world. I will go to the details in next slides. And this is actually one of the main differentiator of our Technopark. We have been able to, develop an entrepreneurship ecosystem which enables us to support startups from idea stage to the global stage. So I would like to briefly introduce those programs. In idea stage, we have actually, a big program which is supported by TUBITAK, which is the Technological, Scientific and Research Council of Turkey, and which provide initial investment to startups to develop their prototypes. In order to get that support, first they should apply more than 100 mediator business incubator, which we are one of them, and we are the most successful one with a success rate of 67, which is the average of Turkey is 39. And we have ITU Çekirdek and ITU Seed Acceleration Program since 2011, which will support more than 500 startups each year in our acceleration program. And based on the performance and the data, we were awarded as top university business incubator. And during the year, we support more than 500 startups, and 50 of them make their pitches on the Big Bang stage, which is the biggest entrepreneurship event in Turkey. It is 2 days event, and 50 out of those 500 pitch on that stage, and we announced their investment and their awards, financial awards they got from our corporate partners. Last year, only last year, we announced our startups investment in that stage, which was about $90 million. And out of those 50 startups, around 35 of those get right to benefit from the growth programs, opportunities for one more year. It is a tailor-made program for each startup. So based on the data at the end of year, their investment and sales increased 5 times according to the last year's data. And we have ITU Magnet Scale-Up Center, which is designed for scale-ups. It is a co-working area with office hours, mentorships, and etc. And we have Innogate program, which we have been running since 2014. And it is 2-phase program. In the first phase, we select startups and train and provide mentorship and other supports in Turkey for 2 months. Then we take them to the target market, United States and UK. So this is the data of that program's performance. And we have a technology transfer office, which is one department of our Technopark, which supports startups in every stage in terms of IP rights, project incentives, and etc. So this is actually about our ecosystem. I would like to share with you a few numbers about our incubation center. So far, we have accepted more than 82,000 startup applications from 90 different countries. And so far, we have supported more than 5,000 startups since 2011. And out of those 5,000, almost 2,000 of them have incorporated and continue their operations right now. And this is the amount of, effort we only provided in 2024, more than 1,300 introduction to corporates, the number of mentorship sessions and etc. You can see here. What we provide to startups, I will quickly go over them in order to finish in time. Actually, we have positioned our incubation center as 360-degree support platform. We almost provide, try to provide all needs of startups. Fundamental trainings and documents, because most of the founders are engineers. They are not very good at soft skills, so especially startup mindset. Office and lab opportunities are free of charge for those startups. Especially, we have 4 labs in our Technopark and more than 100 in university labs. Mentorships with more than 500 mentors who have more than 10 years experience. MVP product development, sales especially is very critical. Access to finance, PR supports. Legitimacy is one of the challenging issue for startups since they are new and small. And scaling and global growth is other challenge. So we are addressing all of these needs with different programs, mechanisms, and opportunities. If there is any question, I will be more than happy to answer. But now I should be, as fast as possible. I mentioned that we were awarded as top university business incubator in the world in 2023, based on the data of 21 and 22 years. UBI Global is a Sweden-based organization which makes rankings of incubators and accelerators every 2 years since 2013, based on 21 different KPIs. These are the KPIs, criteria, and there are sub-criteria. So based on those KPIs, they evaluated 1,895 incubators and accelerators from 94 different countries. So we were awarded at Top University Business Incubator. Previous winners are Set Squared in UK and 1871 Chicago's in United States. In terms of globalization, I think it would be interesting to the audience. In our ITC programs, we have received, as I mentioned, applications from 90 different countries. We have supported more than 100 startups in this program. Especially, we have running this program in a structured way for the last 4 years. And these are their data turnover and investment. In terms of Innogate, we have been running it since 2014. We have run 18 courses to, so far 15 to US and last 3 to UK. And this is the increase in their exports. Last year, we increased the scope of Innogate program. We say that it is always on program after this time. So startups can apply to this program 365 days, and they can benefit from our opportunities in these 5 countries: UK, Netherlands, Germany, France, and United Arab Emirates. We have, ecosystem partners in these countries, and we have more than 30 different local coaches in this market, which enables our startups to navigate and to enter those markets easily and quickly. And we plan to make different cohort-based programs, acceleration program to these countries as well. Last year, we organized Big Bang Global Demo Day in London with UK investors in CS. Our 34 of our startups were in CS this year. Right now, in May, we will take some of our startups to Germany, Innogate Germany, and Innogate UK in June. And these are a few examples of our startups. We have many potential startups which are about to become unicorn in upcoming years. You actually listened to Intensai's story in MEXT presentation previously. Intensai is actually one of our startups. They were 2 co-founders, and in the MVP stage when they applied to our acceleration program in 2018. Right now, they are operating in more than 25 countries, and they have raised $90 million investment so far. Vivo is also, they were 2 our ITU, our university students, 2 women entrepreneurs. They were in the idea stage when they applied to us. Right now, they are operating in more than 100 countries. And RPG also came to our program with a, founder with an idea. It was in the idea stage that they will try to, make energy from, humidity and heat change. Right now, they are operating in 10 different countries, and they have reached to $90 million valuation so far. So I think it is briefly about our programs and what we do so far. If there is any question, I will be more than happy to answer. No.
Thank you very much for this super interesting presentation. I think some incredible numbers you were showing here of your programs, especially sales increase and likelihood to get investments, and also the high number of international countries I found in particular interesting. You said that you were supporting startups of 90 different countries of origin by now. I think that is quite incredible. In terms of questions, what would you say, what do startups need and what should they have in hand and ready when they want to go and apply for one of your programs? Can you give them any advice how to best prepare?
Yeah, actually, we are now accepting to applications to our ITU program, which aims to support startups coming overseas. It is in English, of course, for that audience. We will take applications, until the mid of May. So we have 1 month to apply. We'd be more than happy to support those startups. They should, Google ITU and apply via the application form. We generally look 3 main criteria. The team, the potential of their solution. What is the market size? It is $10 million market, or it has huge potential, and the technology and innovation behind the solution. They should be technology-based startups, and they should be innovative. Once they are, meeting those criteria, the innovative and technology-based solution, and if it has good market potential, and if the team is eligible for that idea, for example, if they are talking about AI, and if there is no anyone in the team who has background or experience in AI, so it would be a negative evaluation for them. Yeah, I think. Yeah, since maybe this is also important point. It is good. It is nice to have if they address Turkey and MENA market. If they have, they are interested in this market. But if it is not, they are also welcome to apply, because we are generally, recommending our startups to think and act globally. So in our program, we basically try to provide them with global mindset, startup dynamics, how to, scale. So the program also would be beneficial to those startups, even they do not, have target to enter Turkey market, but it is a plus for them because we are very good at in terms of network, in terms of opportunities in Turkey market, and Turkey market is very good potential market for startups.
Thank you very much for pointing that out. One more time, if there are any questions from the audience, please use the Q&A chat box to submit your questions. And if you use the next seconds, we'll be able to get them answered by Yunis directly. Otherwise, we'll collect them and make sure to forward them and get them answered later on after that session. Yunis, thank you very much for joining the session today and for sharing these insights. And we'll make sure in the follow-up to all the startups who are either here with us live today or who will be watching the recording later on to make the contact information of you available and to highlight where to apply for your programs. Thank you very much for being with us here today.
Okay, thank you very much for the invitation, and I wish good luck to all, startups, entrepreneurs, and potential entrepreneurs, let's say. Thank you very much again.
Thank you, wonderful. Great, and with that, we are reaching section number 4 of our workshop. The next part is going to be about legal aspects for startups that need to be considered when entering the Turkish market or when opening an office there. And I would like to welcome our next speaker on stage, who's managing partner at Vircon Legal. His name is Mümtaz. I apologize because I do not know how to pronounce the surname, but maybe you can introduce yourself, explain to us how pronounced correctly, and I'll hand over the microphone to you to take it away.
Thank you, Maya. Thanks so much. It's Hacıpaşaoğlu, but you don't have to worry about it. It's quite a difficult one, even for Turkish people.
I will practice. Thank you so much.
No worries at all. Thanks for inviting me, guys. It's a pleasure to be with you. I'm Mümtaz. I'm an ex-founder, by the way. I exited one of my startups, so we are on the same site with everyone here. But also, I think for the last 9 years, I've been investing in startups and helping their legal stuff. So I would like to give a brief information about the Turkish legal landscape, as much as I can do in 15 minutes, since it will take days to complete the whole task. But I'll do my best. Normally, in order to incorporate a company in Turkey, you don't need any permissions. You can go directly incorporate a company without any work permit, without any permit to stay here. You can just go incorporate a company, which is quite easy. But if you want a work permit as a founder or for your team members, it's quite tricky. Luckily, I think 6 months ago, Turkey just announced their tech visa. So now we have Turkey tech visa in force, let's say. I will just send the link down below to the whole chat, which made everything easier. So we have a simplified process to have the visas, not just for you, for your co-founders and for your family. It doesn't cost you anything. Simply, you just fill a form. It's a kind of detailed form, but at the end of the day, they gave you 3 years work permit for Turkey tech visa. They make everything simple for the residence permit process. It gets easier to go to technology zones. I think we had it today here, and there are a couple of Turkish technoparks as well. So you have a simplified process there as well, which makes you exempt in different kind of taxation stuff. So which is quite an advantage. And since it's a new program, they're trying to support everyone who's joining the program. That's why they're trying to open an access to venture capital networks to those founders as well. So I would definitely check out the Turkey Tech Visa websites for your potential incorporation in Turkey. I think we have more than 10 types of companies in Turkey, so you have lots of options to incorporate. But if you're planning to grow your startup in here, the ecosystem, actually you have 2 options. One is called Limited Şirketi, which is a limited liability company. And we have joint stock company, Anonim Şirketi in Turkey. If you're willing to have investment here from a venture capital or an angel investor, your only option is going to be joint stock company. So you have to incorporate one. In order to incorporate a joint stock company, you need to deposit 250K Turkish liras. I will write that down. Turkish liras for Anonim Şirketi. But you have to deposit it in 2 years periods. In the incorporation part, you have to put the first quarter, and you can put the rest in 2 years periods. So you have time to do that. If you don't want to put any money at the beginning, you can consider the Limited Şirketi or limited liability company option, which needs 50K Turkish liras in 2 years periods. But at the beginning, you don't have to put anything. So after several days or weeks, you can start putting your money. And the money that you deposit is completely reusable. You can use the money for your startup's procedures. You can employ people. You can rent a place. You can pay your, cloud services and everything. You don't have to keep that money. But you need those transactions at the end of the 2 years. Otherwise, you will have severe consequences like some fines and even closure of your company. So you have 2 options. because the responsibility regime is the best in anonim şirketi. Most of the venture capitals and angel investors would like to invest in anonim şirketi in Turkey. And let me give you brief information about the incorporation procedures. First, you have to fill an online form to incorporate the company. You're paying approximately 3 to 4K Turkish liras to incorporate the company. Let me write that down for you. For incorporation. And you will need a CPA to incorporate those companies. In Turkey, we have to monthly pay a CPA to fulfill our obligations. For example, in the United States, you don't have to do that, but Turkey, it's compulsory for both company types. And all year long, you approximately pay 15K Turkish liras for the maintenance of the company. I wrote it down as well. I think I typed them down to panelist part, by the way. So sorry for that. Maybe I can send those afterwards. I was thinking that I'm writing everyone, but
we are going to share this information in the public chat.
Okay, that will be lovely. So I'm taking those as a note as well. Welcome on board, Doğukan, by the way. It's a pleasure to see you.
I'm
So it's an easy process to incorporate and keep the company in Turkey, and you can convert your limited şirketi in anonim şirketi as well in the meantime. So you can start with the limited şirketi, then convert it to anonim şirketi. In the investment procedure, Turkey has kind of different instruments to have your investment on board. We have convertible notes, convertible debts, and fast forward share increase options. Normally, the convertible notes were not fully legal in Turkey, but since last year, venture capitals are eager to do those transactions. We were trying to find loopholes to do that in Turkey, but now it's completely legal, and it's really quite easy to have raising capital in Turkey. Normally, it takes around a week to 2 to raise your capital, which is way faster than most of European region and some of the parts of United States as well, which is quite easy. It's easy to employ people with this Turkish visa as well. So you can have, so Abby is sending my numbers there as well. Abby, could you please also send the link of Turkey Tech Visa? That will be lovely.
Sure thing.
Thank you. So normally you have to tie your employees to your company with a working permit. But with this Turkey Tech Visa program, you can use those programs as well to make it fast forward. Otherwise, it will be taking approximately 2 months to employ a foreigner into a Turkish company, and there were extra criteria to do that. But with the new program, we don't have those criteria. You're just applying with your CV and prove that the company is doing R&D and research work. So it's a fast forward process as well. An important note in Turkey, we are in the same regimen with the European Union in the IP terms, the intellectual property terms, which means anything you do will be under your copyright. So you don't have to register your copyright anywhere, but if you want to do that, you can do it as well. In terms of patents, it's quite tricky. We have a really hard patent regime. So if you're willing to take a patent, please go find an expert to do that. Trying to do it by yourself will cost you more probably rather than having your own patents. What else I can add? And an important note from the corporation side, normally in lots of countries, you can do your investment procedures with the company documents. For example, in the United States, you can add anything to by law and make it happen. But in Turkey, we have a strict regime in the company formation documents. So you can't easily add anything you would like there. And in terms of startup law, there, as you know, a lot of complicated terms such as tag-alongs, drag-alongs, right of first refusals, vesting, stock options, and everything. But we are not legally completely at those in our documents in Turkey. That's why we have really famous shareholder agreements here. So make sure that you have a shareholders agreement here as well. You're not legally obliged to do that, but in order to be a, let's say, better startup and have a better startup mechanics, you will definitely need a shareholders agreement here as well. So that will be a brief introduction of our ecosystem. And I think I'm at end of my time, but if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them as well.
Thank you very much for sharing those insights. So while we are waiting for the startups that are online here with us today to submit their questions in the Q&A box, one question we could ask already is, what is the sort of company, the company form that you most often see from international startups that are coming into Turkey, or what would you recommend to startups?
Actually, the most recommended form will be incorporating an anonim şirket here to make sure that they don't have too much personal liability in the company. Since if you have incorporated the company, your personal, let's say, fortune will be out of the scope of the company. So please make sure that you're on the safe side.
Hello.
So,
Hi, good to see you. There's another question, maybe. Is it possible for a foreign entity to be a sole shareholder of a Turkish company?
definitely, you can do that, but in order to do that, you need to bring some documents here, which is a proof of the company incorporation in your company. It should be translated and notarized here as well. I'm not sure Ukraine has apostille system. Do you know that, Maya?
I personally don't.
Let's say if you have apostille system, you will first need to notarize those documents in Ukraine, then apostille it and take it here. We will need to re-notarize it and translate it here. Then we will be able to use it. So you will need to do those for company incorporation documents, your board decision to do the transaction in Turkey, and the proxy that make you do that transaction. You're bringing those 3 documents in Turkey. We're taking it to notary, and afterwards we're having 2 things. The first is the MEXT system, which is the trade registry system. You have to register there, and you're going to need a tax number here. It is going to be a potential tax number, so we're going to go to tax authority with those documents, and we're going to have a potential tax number. After that, you will be same as any Turkish companies in terms of doing transactions here. You can incorporate a company, you can buy a company, you can share swap, you can do whatever you like. You're completely free, but I will need those 3 documents. If you have an apostille system, it will be apostilled. At least it will be notarized.
Thank you very much. And now that you just mentioned the taxation as well, are there any double taxation treaties between Ukraine and Turkey that founders should be aware of?
I think we have one for avoiding the double taxation. So if you pay a tax in one place, you won't be paying in the other place, but you will need to report that as well. But if you come with the Turkey Tech Visa program, and if you have the Technopark regime, probably you will have 0, so it will be fine. In terms of taxation, we have a huge advantage here for exits. Thank you for reminding me that. If you incorporate a company and pay the amount, the deposit, the amount that I wrote in the chats, which is 250K for anonim şirket in Turkey, and if you print all the shares ledger and keep the company for 2 years, and if you do an exit, you won't be taxed with the exit income. which is not a common practice in any place in the world, but we have a good advantage there. So if you're planning to do an exit after 2 years, but in a short period of time, Turkey will be a good place to come for exit. Otherwise, it will be Mauritius or something. Turkey is quite a fancy place to live.
That sounds great. Thank you very much for sharing your insights here and your expertise with us today. If there are any more questions coming up, we will make sure to forward them along to you.
I'll be in the chat. So if you need anything, just say Mümtaz, I'll be there.
That's great. Thank you very, very much. It's a pleasure to have you here in the session.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
You too. Thank you. And with that, we are entering the fifth and last section of our market discovery workshop for the Turkish market today. And I would like to introduce you to the moderator of the investment panel that is going to discuss about the investment landscape of Turkey. I'm introducing to you my dear colleague Emrecan Kercek, who is early stage investor at the Plug and Play office of Istanbul. And he is having an amazing panel of investors here with us today. Emrecan, I'll hand over the introduction of our great panelists to you.
Thank you very much, Maya. And thanks everyone for being here today. I'm Emrecan Kercek, currently leading the ventures team here in Plug and Play Istanbul. Right now, we have an exciting panel on the Turkish investment landscape as a whole. For this, we have Akın from DCP, Şafak Tüfekçi from ScaleX, Doğukan Çetin from APY, and Yagiz from Domino Ventures. Without further ado, I don't want to keep you guys waiting for the exciting questions that we have today. But without further ado, I would like to start it off real quick with the ladies first mentality, with Akın from DCP, to give us a bit more outline about what the early stage investment landscape in Turkey is looking like these days. Thank you very much for joining, Merve. Please take it away.
Thank you very much, Emrecan. Great to be here. So the early stage activity, especially in the seed stage, is very strong in Turkey. So the government recently transitioned its grant program into a pre-seed fund, namely TUBITAK, a big fund. And when we look at the numbers, especially the number of pre-seed stage investments has increased quite significantly. And when we look at the 2024 numbers, so probably around $1.1 billion were invested across over 400 investments, and majority of the number is coming from this pre-seed TUBITAK big fund, which used to be a grant, let's say grant scheme, so that they recently changed that. Fintech, gaming, and AI were the major verticals. But when we look at the numbers in 2025, I think it slowed down significantly. It is one of the worst quarters since 2023. But let's see how the year will pan out, let's say. Transition from seed to Series A and B and onwards remains as the major challenge, and also limited exit opportunities for the early stage investments. What we see as the common theme is that after getting their seed round, or let's say pre-Series A, the companies, the startups are considering to move out to a more developed ecosystem, let's say, for Series A and Series B and onwards. The problem here is that the number of venture capital firms and VCIFs, which recently have been launched, let's say, quite significantly, they are very active in the seed stage, but we don't have many, let's say, funds in the later stages. Private equity firms are showing more interest, and we have some international interest, but still the ecosystem needs to develop further, I guess. So we will see more funds, hopefully, in the future when the ecosystem matures, and we will see this trend to go backward, let's say.
Thank you very much, Merve. I would like to next go to Şafak for our next question. How does VC funding in Turkey compare to the other markets you've interacted with generally? I know you guys are differentiating between different countries and geographies. Any particular dynamics or nuances to know about Turkey, Şafak?
Thanks, Emrecan. I think Merve gave a really good introduction on the VC funding market in Turkey. So I think she has also given some differences compared to the other markets that we've been looking at. So as she said, I mean, in Turkey, seed stage, early stage VC funding is pretty strong. But I think that one of the main differences that I've been seeing, maybe it's because of that there are not many growth funds in Turkey also, as she said, but the C to Series A conversion is pretty low, compared to developed markets. So I think in Europe, it's something around like 15. I'm not sure about the number, but if you're backed by like a really good fund, that has been a research by Notion Capital, I remember. If you've been backed by, for example, Back Ventures from Turkey, they were also listed in the list. So it's the C to Series A conversion is 40%. So I think it's pretty low in Turkey, but still, I mean, compared to the other markets, I think in pre-seed and seed, Turkey is pretty strong. Again, as Merve said, it's because of the government initiatives. For example, the VCIFs, those are the onshore funds actually regulated by the capital markets. In Turkey recently launched. I think around like 400 new VCIFs have been founded in the last 5 years. So I think in early stages, VC money is pretty available. But in later stages, it's not available, but also from local funds, let's say, but also it's available from global funds. In the recent years, I mean, Tiger Global, Mubadala, like all these big names, like Sequoias and stuff, they've invested in Turkey. But that's also good. I mean, it sounds like a problematic market condition, but maybe it's not. So yeah, it's more like that.
Thank you very much, Şafak. I'd like to turn to Doğukan for our next question, since we talked about the onshore and VCIF funds a little bit. But what kind of funding options other than VC are available for startups? Like how accessible are the angels here, strategic investors, some public support programs? I know Merve touched upon a little bit of them, but please take it away, Doğukan.
Thank you, Emrecan. VCs are still the significant part of the startup funding in Turkey. But also there are some other options like as far as I know, there are around 1,000 of angel investors accredited in Turkey. So they are relatively active, especially in Istanbul and the other major cities like Ankara, Izmir, Kayseri. So there's a growing network of experienced C-level professionals and ex-entrepreneurs who are not only providing money, not only providing capital, but also mentorship and valuable connections, especially in industry. So we also have corporate venture capitals as strategic investors, which are mostly large enterprises in Turkey. Many large companies have started engaging with startups, either through direct investments or by establishing their own CVCs. So these investors are particularly relevant for B2B startups, which operates in verticals like fintech, like energy or mobility, especially in Turkey. So and also the last one is the public support programs, right? You asked, Emrecan.
Sorry?
What was
public
the
support
public
programs?
support program? Oh, okay.
Yes.
And also the government plays a crucial role in Turkey. We have some agencies like TUBITAK, like COSGAP. They are offered some grants and incentives, especially for research and development. But sometimes the application process can be bureaucratic. So overall, VC funding is not only an option. The actual landscape is more diverse and dynamic.
Great, thank you very much for that. We'll go into more advice to the international founders from from this part, and then come back after with your specific verticals and some more info about your funds as well. But before we do that, let's talk about some core strengths of Turkey as a base for startup. Maybe Yıldız can help us with that.
Hello, first of all, thank you for the invitation, Emrecan. I saw you first time in white, so white suits you really well. I like it.
Thank you very
With
much.
the white. Yeah, you're welcome.
With a
You're
little
welcome.
tan.
Yeah, yeah.
Thanks.
So thanks again. It is Yagiz. I am the managing partner of Domino Ventures. In Turkey, I guess before pandemic in Turkish ecosystem were like more operating startup ecosystem, but after pandemic everything has changed. It's more like tech startup area has begun in Turkey. So in Turkey we have good talent base and a young talent base. So it's like it refers to all of the Turkish startups and maybe diaspora startups. They keep their OPEX in Turkey. That's pretty important for the ecosystem. And also when we talk with the global investors, so as Merve mentioned, in Turkey, we need more global investors for the region. But global investors see that Turkish talent base is too strong. Even they invest in Turkish diaspora funders, they want to keep their OPEX and the tech teams generally in Turkey. So that's really good for us. And as we see in gaming, after exits, that team, that young talent creates its own startups and different areas. So that's also pretty important because when the one exit comes, so the team members of that startups leaving the startup and they create its own startup. So it's like coming like a wave. So it creates new, strong and good and more exitable startups after that talent educates. So another thing is, you know that our smart brains, some of them, I mean, choose to stay in Turkey. Some of them educate to in US in developed markets. So then that smart brains creates its own startup. So Turkish diaspora is really strong. As a founder in US, in UK, and in developed markets, there are too much Turkish founders. So that's why Turkish diaspora is strong, and the global investors are getting more touchable with Turkish ecosystem. So also that affects us in emerging markets. Turkish market is great because after pandemic, also in New York, in London, even before pandemic, the VCs were always want to invest even in their neighborhood, even in their cities, in their countries. So, but after pandemic, something changed, and they see that there are good emerging markets there. I mean, with the same valuation, they can catch the teams like with the same areas, same tech teams, same challenges. They see that in UK and in developed markets in the US, the startups are a little bit high valuation, but they see the good potential in Turkey and the emerging markets. That's why also Turkish ecosystem is booming right now. Maybe in 2018, the numbers of investment were 20-30 million US dollar totally, but now it reached almost 1.5 billion past years. So we see that next 5 years, 10 years, our ecosystem will grow and there are too much potential. Yeah, that's the thing.
Thank you very much, Yıldız, for the comprehensive overview. Maybe we can talk about some of the risk and caution points for somebody going into the Turkish market, Şafak.
Yeah, sure. This one is
I wanted to give the bad news.
Yeah, this one is a bit of a tough question, to be honest. But yeah, let's do it. So, I mean, yeah, Turkish market is, I think, it's pretty dynamic, but also a challenging environment. Because there is an opportunity for rapid growth, but also comes with a significant volatility, I would say. I think, well, like, for example, one major risk is economic instability. So we have a bit of a high inflation, so that's one thing. So we have volatile currency movements. So, for example, if you're based in Turkey, if you work with Turkish enterprises, then you have contracts in Turkish lira, and when you have the steep devaluation in a really short period of time, then could be a problem, and due to some unorthodox monetary policies and some political interferences, so this sometimes happens. So this is a caution point, I think, that everybody should be aware of. But also, another thing is there are changes in laws and regulations. For example, if you're like a fintech company, it could have an impact on you. Like in the past, we've seen some cases like that have been some taxes applied backwards. So the startups that have raised money the previous year were obliged to pay taxes to the government. So that was also like a unorthodox thing to see. But still, I mean, the early stage environment, it's pretty dynamic and money is available. I think there are like many startups being founded. I think around like 1,000 startups being founded. So there's a good learning opportunity from each other, and also we've been seeing some spillover effect as we've seen many success stories in the past years, and people coming out of successful companies like Insider, Getir, Trendyol, and other companies. They're also founding different startups and boosting the success of the ecosystem. So yeah, I mean there have been challenges, but still there's a big opportunity, I think, for everyone.
So maybe talk about that. We will turn to Merve. What do you think are the most important factors for a startup to succeed in Turkey generally, especially for international founders?
Sure. Well, I agree with Şafak. So it is a very dynamic market, but it has its challenges. I think in general, building the right network and partnership is very crucial to understand the market dynamics, local market dynamics, and its culture. As he said, the regulatory landscape can be complex and challenging for an international founder. So finding the right expert or the right investor who can help them navigate in these environments, I think is very, very important. But as Şafak said, so when we say risk, so we are risk capital, right? Risk venture capital. So when there is risk, there's opportunity, and the bigger the risk, the bigger is the opportunity. That's what I want to look at the ways. So it's in a positive way, let's say.
Exactly. Thank you very much for that. Maybe staying on you, we'll open up the discussion towards maybe an introductory kind of way, so that people can see the kind of the VC composition that we have here on the panel. Can you briefly describe your investment focus and the kinds of startups you typically look at in Turkey or within the region? We can start with you, Merve, if you like, or we haven't heard from Doğukan in a while. Maybe you can start us off.
Okay, I'm gonna start. As APY Ventures, we are actually a VC arm of Albaraka Asset Management. We are so accredited asset management company, which is 100% subsidiary of Albaraka Türk Participation Bank. We are investing in early and growth stage tech startups with scalable and innovative business model. Our scope is quite broad because we are not managing only one fund. We are managing several funds, some of them sector agnostic, like Bilişim Vadisi or Startup GSF, and some of them are thematic, like OSTEM or FinTech GSF. So in consolidated perspective, we are sector agnostic. We invested to 65 companies so far in 25 different sectors. Our ticket size is changing between $200K up to $1.5 million. We have 2 exits so far. We are looking for startups with high growth potential, strong founding team. At least one of them should be Turkish, and ideally have a path to global expansion. Those topics are the main things that we are looking for in our investment thesis.
Thank you very much. Who do we have next? Who wants to volunteer for the intro of their fund?
No one.
All right.
That's
yeah. Yeah, we spoke first. You have to go. You have to go.
We will see. So hello guys again. So we are legally Netherlands based, but the team is operating in Istanbul. We don't have, I mean, we're like sector agnostic fund. The thing is, in emerging markets, there are not too much startups in every sector. So that's why we are trying to find best teams in every sector. In Turkey, generally, maybe 80%, 90% of funds are sector agnostic. Sometimes we take some areas, like also in our website, you see edutech, AI, deep tech, clean tech. So we are texting that sectors for the DFIs and the IFIs, but generally we are sector agnostic. If we find good deal, we invest in every areas. If we find good team members. So we are pure digital and high tech and the first day global investor. We love to invest at global businesses. Our ticket sizes changing between 200 and 500. We have particularly investment strategy. We want to invest minimum 2 round in the startup, because it's pretty hard to, raise for the next round in Turkish founders. That's why we have to support for the follow-on rounds. That's pretty important in our area. Yeah, that's kind of all.
All right. What do you say, Şafak?
Okay, I'll go next. So yeah, ScaleX Ventures, we are an early stage venture capital company, again, out of Turkey. We invest in early stage, meaning pre-seed, seed, sometimes late seed. The investment ticket is ranging from 250K to 2 million. The average investment ticket is around like 750K, I would say. We don't have a geographical mandate, so it could be any founder from any region. We're basically looking global. In terms of the sector focus, so we've been focusing on technical founders, solving hard problems, we say. So those industries include AI, machine learning, cybersecurity, developer tools, and data infrastructure. But we don't have red lines around it. So the main focus is enterprise software in these fields, but we have also invested in consumer startups in the past, hardware startups in the past. So it could be anything. And we also act like Domino Ventures, as Yal said. If there's an opportunity, we would be delighted to invest in the company and partner with the founders. Other than that, so if the business model is local, that's not a good fit. So as the other guys say, the company should aim to go global markets. And yeah, it's what makes us kind of different is that our managing partners are ex-entrepreneurs who have founded and scaled B2B SaaS companies in the past. So it's basically like a fund founded by ex-entrepreneurs. So yeah, it's more or less like that.
All right, thank you very much. Last but not least.
Thank you. So DCP is an early stage deep tech focused fund. We typically invest at C to pre-series A stages with ticket sizes between 500,000 euros to up to 2.5 million euros. We are a generalist fund as well, but when we say deep tech, we mean startups that have a moat with their technology or their know-how, and it's not very easy to replicate, let's say. We are looking at ICT, AI, ML, cybersecurity, health tech, and advanced materials in Turkey and also in the region with diaspora founders. So we require some kind of connection to Turkey. So either the founder can be Turkish or they have a subsidiary in Turkey. And we recently had our first Dragon exit. So
congratulations.
Very much. So if you don't know what Dragon exit is, it means when you pay your entire fund with an exit, that means Dragon. And we have an opportunity fund where we can invest at the later stages if the company goes well, let's say.
All right, thank you very much. And for our last turn, I would love for you to give us advice for the founders, for the possible founders considering expanding or relocating into Turkish startup ecosystem.
Be strong. So it's like, so generally in Turkey, we always talk with the founders, like you have to be global and you have to act global and sell its own product to global. So for the founders who want to be in Turkey, so I suggest you to first hire or work with some resellers, because also in Turkey or in emerging markets, any markets, we suggest to founders to find resellers. So in Turkey, if there's a reseller, which I mean, you can share your deal or sales, you can just. It's pretty important because maybe they will show you their portfolio and they sell your product, its own product to its own customers. So I mean, hiring a reseller is pretty important. Then backed by Turkish funds, so it's also really important because sometimes for example, when also Turkish founders want to be global, we always talk with them, okay, we will introduce some global investors. If you want to go to in any specific country, you should raise money from that country's VCs. So for the also global fund operate in Turkey, they should raise from the Turkish VCs if they, I mean, find good deals. So it's really important. That's my advice.
Mr. Çetin, do you have any advice for the founders?
Yeah, sure, Mr. Kercek, thank you. To add something you said, the founders who are deciding to relocate to Turkey, they should understand the local ecosystem dynamic very clearly. By local ecosystem dynamics, I mean the regulation and the business environment. So maybe it will be crucial for them to work with the local advisors and partners as well as Turkish funds. So also Turkey has a strategic location advantage. It sits at the crossroad of Europe, MENA, and the other Turkish republics, I mean the Central Asia. So this makes it compelling a hub for startups looking to reach multiple markets from one headquarters, from one base. Turkey has a young tech-savvy population. We have strong engineering talent pool. Relatively operating costs are compared to Europe, especially Western Europe or United States. So this makes it attractive for scaling operations, especially in product and development. So these are my advice.
All right, thank you very much. Any other advice coming from Şafak or Merve?
Caldo, I mean, I do agree with Yagiz, so I think it's critical to build partnerships. I mean, like the many other countries, I think like the sales and the business culture, it is mostly relationship driven in Turkey as well. So it would be nice to have like a local advisor, like a partner that would help you to navigate the environment. So that would be one thing. But also the second thing, I think the government has really good incentives, right? So it has many tax incentives for marketing expenditures and stuff. So the Turkish government offers various support programs. So I think it would be nice to take advantage of these opportunities if they're aligned with your business model, of course.
We created new program, Şafak, right? What was the name of the program for the developers and for the startups? The government created, the ministry created new program for the talents from the emerging markets. I also forgot the name, but we have been doing good things for that.
You
we
mean the
can search for it.
Turkey Tech Visa?
Yeah, Tech Visa. Yeah, Tech Visa.
Yep. Mümtaz has talked a bit about it.
Yeah.
So, any last advice, Merve, coming from you?
I think I agree with all the others. So yeah, I don't have any other advice.
All right, I'll ask you a different question then. So this is a question from the from the people that are watching us, wondering, are there any accelerators or communities to join for someone who's living in Istanbul and you can't say plug and play?
Definitely. So I think there are many accelerators, right?
Yes. Any one of your favorites?
Startups Watch. So all are our favorites.
Yeah, true. Startups Watch is Startups Watch is for the people watching. Startup Watch is a database where we have all the investors, all the startups that are happening in the ecosystem. You can find out more there, and feel free to reach out to us after this. We'll try to help you out. But with that being said, thank you very much for being a part of this wonderful panel. Thanks for your answers. Thanks for your briefness and excitedness. I'm looking forward to seeing all of the Ukrainian founders coming to Turkey and try to pick our brains and reach out to us. Thank you for your time. Thanks for the speakers before us. I'll hand it back over to Maya for our next agenda. Thank you very much, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Very, very big thank you from my side to the speakers of the panel. Thank you for sharing your insights, but also to you, Emrecan, for your charming way of moderating this. I think it was a very
Thank you very much.
insightful
We tried
conversation.
something new. We tried something new with this.
Definitely.
Back to you,
Definitely.
Maya.
No, that was
Thank
a
you.
very good conversation. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Great. And with that, we are reaching the end of our workshop today. We have one last presentation. And for that, let me go back and share my screen. This presentation is going to be about investing and scaling innovations across Turkey. And we have Basak here with us today from E2 VC, who is going to hold that presentation. And if you would also like to activate your camera, we can see you.
Yeah, hi everyone. This is Basak from E2 VC. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you so much for taking the time. I'm going to hand over the microphone to you for our closing presentation today. The floor is entirely yours.
Thank you. Actually, I have a small presentation, so can I share my screen, Maya?
Yes, you absolutely can.
Yeah, let me find it. Share. Yes. Can you see my screen?
We can, if you want to go into presentation mode as well.
Yeah, I think it's okay. Is it too small?
It appears a little bit small.
Really? How is it right now?
So yeah, well, works.
Okay. Perfect, perfect. So yeah, again, hi everyone. This is Basak from E2 VC. Nice to meet you. It's a pleasure to be here with you. So today I will walk through you why Turkey might be a potential market for you guys and how you can position yourself for success in scaling and fundraising here. But before that, maybe I can make a little bit intro about what we are doing in E2 VC as a fund. So we are E2 VC. Those E2s are stands for Emerging Europe, those two E's. And we are formerly known as a 500 Emerging Europe. It's a 70 million euro early stage VC fund. We are investing in between 200K up to 2.5 million euro pre-seed to Series A. We are investing across all Central and Eastern Europe region, including Turkey. And in the past 6 years, we have made more than 70 investments. And we are sector agnostic, but prefer to invest in founders rather than some trends. And right now we have 3 unicorns under our belts. And yeah, this is us. So let me jump into why Turkey. The short answer, I think, Turkey is big, young. Sorry for the emojis. Turkey is big, young, connected, and the evolving facts. And in terms of the geography, Turkey has a special proposition, I think. Turkey sits at the intersection of Europe, MENA, and Central Asia, both geographically and economically. So we have a young, tech-savvy population and talent with a fast-growing startup ecosystem. And yeah, I know it's a bit challenging to say robust for Turkey's economy, but despite the macroeconomic ups and downs in Turkey, still remains one of the largest and most resilient economies in the region. It has a large workforce, a dynamic private sector, and there is an increasing appetite for digital solutions, all with which fuels the innovation. And yeah, again, in terms of the strategic location, we are in the middle of the Europe, Middle East, and the Central Asia. And its startup ecosystem is shaped by its unique position, giving founders here access wide multicultural market database. Again, I think one of the Turkey's strongest competitive advantage lies in its geography. So in terms of the working hours, in Turkey, working hours across 16 time zone, thanks to its time zone overlapped with other countries, but again, proximity to major markets within just 4-hour flight radius, we offer access to 1.3 billion in terms of the people. And when we look at inside of the country, internal market, we are seeing huge population with 85 million plus people and rapidly digitalizing economy, where startups founders, both from Ukraine and everywhere, can test, validate, and scale inside the company before expanding regionally or globally. And plus, half of the population is under the age of 34. So we are dynamic and tech savvy. So in terms of the sectoral opportunities, in Turkey, we are seeing huge momentum in some specific areas like automotive, mobility, energy, aerospace and defense, fintech, e-commerce and infrastructure. So if your product touch any of these verticals, I think there are active investors in the region and also demand waiting from huge enterprises. And when we jump into business culture in Turkey, to be honest, business in Turkey is really deeply relationship oriented. So deals rarely happen from a cold email or a single meeting. It's all about building trust and relationship. So I just marked 3 of my favorites cultural contexts here. And the first one is decision making in Turkey is often top down. To be honest, you need to reach the actual decision maker of that company or the VC. And the second thing is personal relationship matters. A coffee meeting can sometimes open more doors than a formal pitch deck via Zoom. That's the truth in Turkey. And the third one is business communication can be a more indirect compared to Western norms. Actually, to my point of view, it's really hard to get an answer of a no in Turkey. That's why I want to mention with the indirect compared to the Western norms. So I think you have already met with my VC friends from Turkey, Şafak from ScaleX, Akın from APY, Yıldız from Domino, and Emrecan from Plug and Play. So to my point of view, Turkish VCs are increasingly open to cross-border founders, but they are selective. What they care most about is your ability to execute, adapt, and win in the regional context. So I just bulleted the 4 points over here. So I think one of the important things is many Turkish founders operate under macro uncertainty. Investors expect greed. This is what we call Turkish simulation in Turkey, but resilience over perfection is really important in Turkey. So early traction, we really like to see some numbers and also with a great storytelling. And also clarity on unit economics and scalability is important because in here, VCs want to see the path to revenue, not just the vision because of those under macroeconomic uncertainty. And this is my slide, actually. To wrap up, here are a few founder-friendly tips. So for do things, do build local relationships. I think this is the most important thing. But for the don't parts, so please don't rely on cold outreach and don't expect quick decision and or underestimate the local presence, I think. Yeah. I know I did a really quick presentations, but I have 10 minutes, so that's why I just wrap it too fast. But my presentation is over right now. And so if you have any other question, please jump in. Or otherwise, if you want to meet or ask question later, please feel free to DM me on LinkedIn.
Great. Thank you very much for that presentation, Basak.
Yeah, thank you. I know it's a bit fast, but we have a time concern. So thanks for having me, Maya.
Thank you so much for taking the time. We'll make sure. I currently don't see questions in the Q&A box. Calling the startup in our audience to use the time now to submit your questions if you have any. And if that is not the case, you can follow
Or I can put my LinkedIn URL into the chat box. Maybe they can ask later.
And in any case, we'll forward the questions that we receive afterwards and connect the startups with the speakers.
Perfect. Thank you.
Great. It was a pleasure having you. And I particularly like that you added some insights on the Turkish business culture from your perspective. I think this is in particular valuable for international startups coming into Turkey. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Great. And with that, we are reaching the end of our workshop today. Once again, I really would like to highlight my heartfelt thank you to the incredible lineup of speakers that we had here today for taking the time to join this 3-hour session and for sharing their expertise and being ready to answer the questions from the audience. I would also like to give a word to our startup audience because as our speaker have highlighted a broad variety of programs and for learning, for business development, for all sorts of growth opportunities, we would really like to encourage you to take action, to connect with them and explore these calls for applications or the possibilities to connect with them to see what the Turkish market has to offer for Ukrainian founders. Another highlight of opportunities that we have as the Seeds of Bravery project in line for you. There are 2 more market discovery workshops coming up. One of them scheduled for April 29 and the other one focusing on Central Asia. The date will be determined at a later stage. So please make sure in case you're interested in those regions to register at the link. It can also be found on our Seeds of Bravery website. And these are the channels to best connect with us, to stay always on top of the latest updates of our program and to be aware of all the new opportunities that we have coming up. And ultimately, I really want to give a shout out to the great team that is behind this workshop and everyone who's been supporting to make this workshop possible. On the one hand side, from my plug-and-play colleagues from Istanbul who have passionately helped us to bring a row of first-class speakers together, but as well also on the Seeds of Bravery project side, especially to Abby, Anastasia, and Alexandra for all the support. So very, very big thank you. I think this is very important to highlight and that we're joining forces here to provide valuable workshops like these to Ukrainian founders. And with that, I'd like to close the session. Thank you to everyone in the audience who's watching us live today. Thank you also to everyone who's watching the YouTube recording later on. And whatever time it is right now or wherever you're at, I hope you keep up the good energy and wish you a very great day. Thank you so much.